Alright, here we go. The Assyrian migration. This is at Love Clark. We're reviewing Germany and the Holy Roman Empire. So let's continue on. Before their migration, Perpulus, I think that's how you say it, Perpulus, who lived around 550 BC, wrote, "The coast of the Black Sea is called Assyria." C. Leonard Woolley described what these people look like in his book, The Cimmerians. In Zagros hills and across the plain to the Tigris there lived a fair-haired people akin to the Guti. In parentheses, that means Goths, the Goths, who remained in what was afterward Assyria. This description certainly matches those who descended from the line of Shem. Here's what Dr. Herman wrote in Germany in Prophecy. When the ancient Greek writers wanted to distinguish the Assyrians from the Armenians or Syrians, the Greeks called the Assyrians Leocasiri, Okay, let's start that over. When the ancient Greek writers wanted to distinguish Assyrians from Armenians or Syrians, the Greeks called the Assyrians Leocasiri, meaning whites or blondes, as distinct from the very brunette Syrians who still live in Mesopotamia. By the time of Christ, the Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder recorded that the Assyrians were now dwelling north of the Black Sea. By this time, they had moved north. But they did not stop there. As Mr. Armstrong wrote in the United States and Britain in Prophecy, the Assyrians, before 604 BC, left their land north of Babylon and migrated northwest through the lands that are now Georgia, the Ukraine, Poland, and into the land that is called Germany today. Today, the descendants of those Assyrians are known to us as the German people, tracing German roots. For centuries, the German people have dominated the heartland of Central Europe. Yet they are a people who know very little about their true origin, or at least refuse to know. The Germans themselves are responsible for hiding much of this knowledge, just as many tried to hide their past at the end of the Hitler era. Just as the modern-day Israelites are one family of people from many different tribes, so too are the German people today. They number well over 100 million people worldwide, most of them residing in Germany and Austria. Much was written about the early German tribes that poured into Europe during the 1st and 2nd century AD, thanks in large part to the Roman historian Tacitus, who lived at that time. Among the most significant of those early German tribes are the Chatti, or Shatti, or Hatti, ancestors of the modern Hessians, Treviri, Tungri, and the Alemanni, to name just a few. Shatti means to break down by violence, to make afraid or terrify. The ancestors of this German tribe before migrating lived mostly in Asia Minor and were called the Assyrian Shatti. Many of these early German tribes were in constant conflict with the Roman Empire, which is why the Romans collectively labeled them Germani, meaning war men. As Encyclopedia Britannica points out, there is no evidence that Germani was ever used by the Germans themselves. According to Tacitus, it was first applied to the Tungri, whereas Caesar records that 4 tribes were collectively known as Germani. The Romans called them Germani because of their fierce, warring nature. Not a single neighbor of the Germans, wrote Emil Ludwig, could ever trust the German to remain peaceable. No matter how happy their condition, their restless passion would urge them on to ever more extreme demands. From the book The Germans' Double History of a Nation. Very interesting. Check it out. I would, if I were you. I haven't had a chance to yet, but I know it's going to be good. These early tribes migrated into Central Europe, as historians verify. The Romans labeled all of them war men, but from where did they come? Smith's Classical Dictionary answers, there can be no doubt that the Assyrians, migrated into Europe from the Caucasus and the countries around the Black and Caspian Sea. Speaking of the Indo-Germanic tribes which are invading Europe, while he was alive, the historian Jerome, who was born in AD 340, wrote, "For Ashur, the Assyrian, also is joined with them." Father Jerome was quoting from Psalms 83:8. Jerome wrote of this Assyrian migration because he had lived while it was happening. He was an eyewitness to these events. With many Germanic tribes flooding into Central Europe, the stage was set for the Assyrian Empire of old to again arise to world dominance. All the Germanic people needed was dynamic leadership to establish unity, visionaries whom the people could rally around. For the next 1500 years, the Germans found just that in the Holy Roman Empire. Alright guys, that was a pretty good review. We're going to be doing this next, Chapter 3. The Unholy Roman Empire. Ooh! Ooh! Unholy Roman Empire. Anyway, that was pretty good. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with some of that stuff, but I thought it was interesting to the way that they categorized how they're all basically, even Abraham was an Assyrian, okay? Basically, you guys, okay? Those people were Assyrians. Where he came out of was Assyria. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go, and we're going to stop right here.